guys, I wanted to make this small video to explain the PNP harnesses for LinkECUs on the Genesis Coupe. A few details I'm going to show you guys about. First off, I need to talk about this wiring here. This is going to come disconnected when you get it shipped from us, because since they don't arrive with the base map loaded, since I would have to open each ECU to do that, and I don't want to ship you guys an open ECU. We ship the ECU sealed, but these cables are disconnected, so you guys can know that you need to load the base map first before connecting these cables. I'm going to open these cables. I'm going to open this little connector here. If you can see, there's this little tab here that you can push it in. When you push it in, you'll see that these two locking tabs are going to jump up. I'm going to take the cables out here so you guys can see how it's going to arrive. You literally just pull them out of the connector. They come right out. Your cables are going to arrive like this. So what you're going to do, you're going to receive your LinkECU and your harness, and you're going to connect the LinkECU to this harness here. You're going to key the car on and connect to the LinkECU and upload the base map. Once you upload the base map, you need to connect these cables, since these are the ignition signal cables, and you need to make sure, here I'm going to show you shortly how you're going to test each ignition channel to make sure that the ignition is configured properly.
Okay, Norman from the future here. So I'm just gonna, this is the G4X program. Everything's gonna be set up here, and your ignition. Here in ignition main, you should see that it's direct spark. Your base map that we will send you is gonna have direct spark chosen. You're gonna go here to ignition test, and you're gonna see that's in off. So to test the ignition channels, you set ignition drive 1. And you'll hear the coil, it'll start to pulse. So if you have a friend looking at the ignition coil, you'll see the little bolts on the ignition coil. It'll be arcing on the ignition coil. Make sure when you connect cable 1, you test drive 1, and it should fire on cylinder 1. If you hit ignition drive 2, it should fire cylinder 2. Ignition drive 3 should fire on cylinder 3. Wow. If you hit ignition drive 3, it should fire on cylinder 3. And if you hit ignition drive 4, it should fire on ignition coil 4. So set these up as you connect the cables on the harness, which we will keep explaining back in the past.
Okay, well, now that you know how to do the testing, you're going to take your first connector, you're going to push it in. This is ignition 1. We're going to assume it's ignition 1. You do the test on the LinkECU, and you're going to see that it's ignition. You're going to see the light bulb turn on, and you're going to hear your ignition coil. Make sure that when you test ignition 1, the coil number 1 is the one that's firing. Make sure it's not another one. And do that for every other ignition channel here. Just take them, push them on, push in. Push this 1 and 2. They're all blue, by the way. They're always, at least in dispatch, they're all going to be blue. So you can make sure that these blue ones above the orange ones are the ignition channels. Lock it up like this. I just use a scissor because it's what I had laying around to show that you can basically do it with anything. It's locked, and you just connect it to the ECU. Then I'm going to show you, if you buy a G4X or a G4 Plus, it depends on the G4X or G4 Plus. They're configured for a G4 Plus. So you need to make sure that these two cables, which are pins 26 and 18 on the left side harness, they are in this order. There's the blue up top and the orange on the bottom. This is for G4 Plus. If you have a G4X, do the same. Just click it open. Pull these two cables off. Don't cut your harness open. Invert them. Invert it like that. Invert this one like that. Once you're sure they're inverted, you just click them back on. And there you go. They're secured, they're inverted. Now your throttle control will work just fine. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the aux harness here. You can see the pinout for the connector is right here. So if you want to add a boost controller, you can add it to this ignition channel, this aux channel, this injector channel, and this aux channel. If you have a digital input like a flex fuel sensor, you can add it here to DI8, or you can add it to this one that says DPO1, which is mislabeled on the first batch DI channel, so you can just put it here. And if you have any analog voltages like a fuel pressure sensor or a wideband sensor, you can use these analog voltage inputs here. And if you have an additional temperature sensor that's based on a thermistor, you have like another coolant temperature sensor for some reason, you can wire it to this analog temperature input. And here you have the sensor ground. It's already wired up here. And here's the 5 volts feed. And it's also wired up here. And this just connects with a 12-pin Molex. I only have 10 pins right now here. But it just connects like this, and you already have the harness, and we'll be shipping them with the 12-pin harnesses. So yeah, thanks for watching.